When my son struggled to breathe in the NICU, I wrote, "We need support. Please." My sister sent a selfie from Cabo. My mom hearted it. Nobody came. A month later, still living off hospital vending machines, my screen lit up. 92 missed calls and a text from Mom, "We need you. Right now." I called back. The first words I heard shocked me. The moment I walked into the NICU that morning, I knew something was wrong. It was too quiet. Not peaceful, the kind of quiet that wraps around your throat. Machines still beeped, but slower, like they were waiting for something. A nurse glanced at me. Just a glance. But it told me everything. They had increased my son's oxygen again. He wasn't responding like they hoped. 31 days old and already fighting harder than most grown men do in a lifetime. His little chest rising under all those wires, struggling like it owed the world something. And I was alone. Evan had left for Germany 2 weeks earlier. A business trip he couldn't reschedule. He felt awful, kept checking in between meetings, but he was thousands of miles away. And honestly, I told him to go. I didn't think things would get worse. But they did. The night before, after breaking down in the hospital bathroom for the 3rd time that week, I did something I never do. I asked for help. I texted the family group chat. "We need support. Please. Just someone be here. I don't want to be alone with this." The message sat for a while. Then a ping. My sister. A photo. She was in Cabo in a bikini, holding some frothy pink drink with a sparkler in it. Her caption? "Thinking of you, face blowing a kiss." My mom reacted with a heart. That was it. That was their version of support. I didn't respond. I stopped asking. The days blurred after that. I survived on hospital vending machines, sleeping in an upright chair, using my hoodie as a pillow. The nurses would occasionally offer kind words, but I knew the look. They didn't think he'd make it. Still, every hour I sat by him, counting his breaths, whispering stories he couldn't hear, wishing I could trade places with him. Then one afternoon, as I was watching the ventilator numbers tick down again, my phone buzzed. It lit up like it was on fire. 92 missed calls. 37 texts. All from my mom and sister. One stood out. "We need you. Right now." I stepped into the hallway and called back, bracing for the worst. Maybe someone had died. Maybe there was an accident. My mom answered, sounding breathless. Not from crying, but from irritation. She said, "We're stuck in Tulum. Our cards aren't going through and we need $3,000 to check out of the resort." I didn't speak. For maybe 30 seconds I just stood there, phone to my ear, frozen. I could hear waves crashing behind her, someone laughing nearby. She was calling from a beach. My son was hooked up to machines, barely breathing, and they were calling from a 5-star resort because their vacation got inconvenienced. She kept talking, saying they knew I was good with money and could probably borrow it from Evan if I didn't have it myself. And the worst part? I did it. I texted Evan. "Can you send $3,000 to my mom? Long story. They're stuck and can't get home." He didn't ask questions. He wired it within the hour. He trusted me. I sent it. And I hated myself for it. But I was too tired to fight. I went back into the NICU, took my seat next to my son, and watched him breathe like it was the only thing in the world that mattered. Because it was. But that night something shifted. A new thought crawled into my brain and wouldn't leave. This isn't just unfair. This is war. Evan flew straight from Frankfurt to the hospital. He walked in still wearing the same wrinkled button-down and blazer he'd left in. No sleep, no luggage. Just him and a look on his face that I hadn't seen before. It wasn't panic, it wasn't confusion. It was quiet rage. He barely said anything, just dropped his laptop bag, leaned over the incubator and whispered our son's name. I don't think I even realized I'd been holding my breath until he was in that room. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel completely alone. But the relief didn't last long. Because I still hadn't told him everything. That night we went home together for the first time in over a month. Our apartment looked like it had been abandoned. Mail stacked up on the counter. Plants half dead. The smell of hospital disinfectant still on both of us. We sat on the couch, didn't even turn on the lights. And then I told him. Everything. The group text. The Cabo selfie. The heart emoji from my mother. The silence. The vending machine dinners. The 3 a.m. breakdowns in the family bathroom. And then finally the call. 92 missed calls. 37 texts. "We need you. Right now." How I thought something terrible had happened. Maybe my dad, maybe something else. How I'd stood there in the hospital hallway and listened to my mom say they were trapped in Tulum because their cards didn't work. How she asked for $3,000 like it was nothing. How I wired it with Evan's money because I didn't know what else to do. When I finished, I waited for him to be angry. I braced for it. But all he did was sit there, hands folded, and ask. Did they ever ask how he was doing? I shook my head. He didn't speak for a full minute. Then he stood up, opened his laptop and started typing. I asked him what he was doing. "I'm done supporting them," he said. "They're not your family. They're a debt." Over the years, Evan had quietly picked up the tab on so many things. He paid off my mom's surprise dental bill last year. He sent my sister money after she lost her job, which we later found out she didn't. He booked last-minute flights for them to visit us and then covered all their meals, hotel stays, everything. I always told him they needed help, that they didn't have much. He never argued. Till now. Within 48 hours he shut everything down. Cancelled the backup credit card my mom used. Revoked access to the family phone plan he'd been paying for. Unsubscribed from all the automatic payments he'd set up for them, just in case. At first they didn't notice. But then, slowly, the messages started coming in. My mom. "Hey sweetheart, I think there's a problem with the card for my car insurance. Can you check with Evan?" My sister. "Weird, my phone's not working. Did Evan switch carriers?" And then came the real kicker. A week later. My sister again. "Hey Grace, we're planning a trip in July. Family recharge thing. Flights are pricey. Can you and Evan pitch in? Just like 2 to 3K total between the three of us? We thought it'd be good for bonding. Maybe we'll stop by after, see the baby." See the baby. Like he was an exhibit. I stared at that message for 10 minutes. I didn't even feel angry anymore. Just empty. I showed it to Evan. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then he asked, "Do you want to help them?" I didn't answer right away. But later that night I borrowed $3,000 from him again. He didn't question it. Just transferred it. And I sent it to them. They thanked me, of course. Gushed even. Sent pictures of hotel rooms and beach views. Said things like, "Family forever," smiling face with hearts. And, "So glad you understand." But it wasn't kindness that made me do it. It was strategy. Because that was the last dollar they'd ever see without a cost. I was done playing the quiet, patient one. I'd given everything I had, time, energy, dignity, while my baby lay fighting for his life, and all they saw was a bank account with feelings. They thought I was soft. They thought I was weak. They didn't know I was waiting. After I sent them the money for their family recharge, they disappeared again. No check-ins. No updates. No real interest in my son's recovery. Not even a text to ask if he was still in the hospital. I didn't expect them to change, but a part of me hoped they might at least fake it better. We finally brought our son home 2 weeks later. Evan carried him in like he was carrying the crown jewels, gentle and proud, while I unlocked the front door. The apartment was clean. Evan had arranged for someone to come through before we left the hospital. There were diapers stacked in the corner, bottles lined up neatly, new baby clothes with tags still on. He'd been preparing quietly while I lived in that sterile hospital room. And for a moment it felt like peace. We settled into something that resembled routine. Sleepless nights, feedings every 2 hours, long stretches of just the three of us cocooned inside while the world outside kept moving. It was hard, but it was ours. Then one Thursday afternoon I heard the knock. I wasn't expecting anyone. Evan was at work. Our son was finally asleep in his bassinet after a rough morning, and I was just about to eat for the first time all day. I opened the door and there they were. My mother and my sister. No warning. No heads up. Just standing there, arms full of grocery store bags. The cheap kind, like they'd just thrown together a last-minute gift basket. I hadn't seen either of them in person since before the NICU. They both tried to smile. My mom stepped forward first. "We just wanted to see you. And the baby." My sister held up one of the bags. "We brought stuff. You probably need help." They walked in without waiting for permission. I didn't say anything. I just stood there watching them glance around the apartment like tourists. My mom sat on the couch. My sister peeked into the kitchen. Then came the part I'd been waiting for, the real reason they came. My mom said, "Things have been really hard lately. After Tulum, everything kind of crashed. The bills piled up. Lisa's car needs repairs. And we know we haven't been the best lately. We get that now. But we're family, Grace. And we really need help." I asked what they meant by help. They meant money. They wanted me, or rather Evan, to cover 2 months of rent. And maybe utilities. Just until they could get back on their feet. My sister added, "We've been talking a lot. About everything. And we realize now that we weren't there for you. But we want to change that." It sounded good. Like a script. A little too polished. But I wanted to believe them. I sat down, looked at both of them, and I said okay. That I'd talk to Evan. That I'd help, this once. Because I wanted to believe they were trying. That night when Evan got home I told him. He didn't say anything at first. Just stared at the floor for a while. Then he finally looked up and said, "You know they'll never stop, right?" I knew. Somewhere deep down I did. But part of me, the part that still wanted a mother, still wanted a sister, hoped maybe this time was different. Evan didn't argue. He said it was my decision. He said he'd back me no matter what. But when he went to bed that night, he didn't kiss me goodnight. And I felt it in my chest. Not between us, but between me and the version of me that still believed people could change just because you wanted them to. The version of me who still thought family meant something. It wasn't even about the money anymore. I sent it. Another $1,500 from Evan's account to my mom's. A smaller amount this time, but still enough to feel it. He didn't say a word when I told him. Just nodded, kissed our son's head, and left for work early the next morning. The silence between us wasn't angry, it was patient. Like he was waiting for something I hadn't figured out yet. A week later, I got a call from Aunt Jo. Now, Aunt Jo is the kind of relative who exists on the edges of the family. Not estranged, just distant enough to avoid being pulled into the drama. She lives 3 states over, retired early, never married, never had kids. She checks in maybe twice a year, sends weird handmade Christmas ornaments, and has a talent for staying out of everyone's mess. So when her name popped up on my screen, I almost didn't answer. But I did. And the first thing she said was, "Grace, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have stayed quiet this long." I had no idea what she meant. Turns out she'd flown in to visit my mom for a few days. She hadn't seen them in years. Thought it'd be a nice surprise. She showed up to the house early one morning. They didn't even know she was coming, and got there while my mom and sister were out getting coffee. She let herself in with the spare key under the planter. Sat on the couch waiting. They came back maybe 20 minutes later. Didn't see her at first. And that's when she heard it. My sister was laughing. My mom was complaining about how Evan cut off the tap. He said, "Grace is still playing house with that baby like it's an achievement. She'd be screwed if Evan ever left." My sister replied, "Doesn't matter. As long as she stays stupid and sweet, we're covered. He still believes we care. Just have to sprinkle in the right guilt." My mom added, "She's desperate to have a family. Always has been. That's the trick. Remind her what she wants and she'll keep paying for it." They laughed. Aunt Jo sat frozen on the couch until they walked in and saw her. She said the color drained from both of their faces. My mom tried to play it off. Said it was a joke. That it was sarcasm. Family stuff. Jo left that night. She hadn't told me sooner because she thought maybe I already knew. Maybe I was choosing not to see it. But after sitting with it, she said she couldn't keep it to herself anymore. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just listened. I thanked her. Hung up. Then I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall for what must have been an hour. That evening when Evan came home, I was waiting at the door. He looked at me, really looked, and I just said, "You were right." I told him everything. Every word Jo heard. Every laugh. Every manipulation. Every lie dressed in sisterly concern. He didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He just said, "You don't need to explain. You did what you had to do. Now we do what's next." And for the first time since the NICU, I felt like I was standing on solid ground. Not because I'd stopped believing in family, but because I'd finally stopped mistaking blood for love. The next morning I blocked them both. No warning, no explanation. Just gone. My mom and sister vanished from my phone like they were never there. Evan didn't say anything when I told him. He just reached over and squeezed my hand, then got up to make coffee like it was any other Tuesday. But it wasn't just a Tuesday. It was the first day I truly felt free. For a while things got quiet. No texts, no calls, no guilt trips. I thought maybe they'd gotten the message. Maybe they finally understood. Then a month later someone knocked on our door again. I was home alone. Evan had just left for work and our son was napping. I opened the door carefully, already tense. It was them. My mother and sister stood there with that same strained look they wore the last time. But this time they looked different. Not polished. Not smug. They looked worn down. My mom's mascara was smudged. My sister had dark circles under her eyes. They didn't have any bags of groceries or fake smiles. They looked like people who had finally hit the floor. My mom spoke first. "Grace, please. Can we come in?" I didn't say anything. I stepped aside. They sat on the couch without waiting. My sister stared at her hands while my mom stared at me. She said they were struggling. Really struggling. Late on rent. Car repossessed. Power shut off last week. Said they had nowhere else to turn. And then carefully she said it. "We understand now. How selfish we were. How cruel. We talked about it a lot. We really truly get it now. We want to be different." My sister nodded. "We know we don't deserve another chance. But we're asking for one." And for a moment, everything I had locked away cracked open again. Because it's still there. That part of me that wants to believe people can change if you just love them hard enough. So I did what I always do. I gave in. Not completely, no money this time. I told them I'd meet them for coffee sometime, talk things through slowly. That I'd think about letting them see the baby. that this had to be different. They thanked me, over and over. My mom even cried. When Evan came home that night and I told him, he didn't yell. He didn't raise his voice. But I saw it, that quiet disappointment again. That silent question he didn't ask. Why can't you just let them go? I tried to explain it, but there was nothing I could say that didn't sound weak. I just said I had to give them this chance. That I needed to believe they meant it. He didn't agree. But he didn't fight me either. He just said, then let's be smart about it. One step at a time. We set boundaries. Real ones. No money. No drop-ins. No babysitting favors. If they wanted to rebuild anything, it would be slow and on my terms. And for a little while it almost seemed like it might work. Until the next surprise came, not from them but from someone I hadn't seen in over a decade. And Jo was back. She showed up unannounced, standing at my door holding a box of hand-me-down baby books and a grocery bag full of homemade cookies. She said she was in town and wanted to check in. Said she missed me. We sat in the kitchen while my son slept. Then she leaned in and said, I didn't come just to visit. You should hear what they're saying now. And what she told me next would burn away any hope I had left. Because whatever apology my mother and sister gave me, whatever change they claimed to make, it was never about me. It was never about family. It was about Evan. And his money. When Aunt Jo left, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just cleaned the kitchen. It sounds stupid, but that's what I do when something breaks inside me. I clean. I wiped down the counter. Loaded the dishwasher. Put away the cookies she brought like they weren't sitting on top of a bombshell. My hands were steady. My mind wasn't. Because the truth is, I had already forgiven them. Again. I had already let them back in. Already started imagining birthday parties and visits and some version of the family I had always wanted. And they had already started planning their next withdrawal. They weren't rebuilding anything. They were calculating. That night, after we put our son to bed, I told Evan everything. Word for word what Jo had overheard. He didn't say, I told you so. He didn't look smug. He looked tired. Tired in a way that made me want to rewind time and listen to him the first time he said to let them go. I asked him what we should do. He said, whatever you want to do. But I'm with you. Either way. So I made the choice I should have made months ago. The next morning, I drove to my mom's apartment. Alone. I knocked, and when she answered, she smiled like nothing had happened. I didn't sit down. I didn't hug her. I told her I knew. About the call. About what she and my sister were planning. About everything. Her face fell slowly, like it was taking her brain a few seconds to catch up to the words. She tried to deny it, but I wasn't there to listen. I told her the truth. That I had nothing left for them. No more help. No more chances. No more access to me or to my son, or to the life I had built with the only person who ever truly protected me. He asked if this meant forever. I said, you've had forever. I'm choosing now. I left before she could respond. I didn't hear from either of them again. They stopped calling. Stopped texting. Stopped pretending. And honestly, that silence, it was the most peaceful gift they ever gave me. A few days later, Evan came home from work with takeout and a look on his face like something had lifted. He sat next to me, handed me a drink and said, so what now? And for the first time, I didn't answer with a problem to solve. I said, we live. Just us. We raised our son in peace. No more surprise knocks. No more emotional blackmail disguised as love. We built our own traditions. Our own laughter. Our own rules. And when I told our son stories, later when he was older, I made sure he knew the truth. That family isn't who shares your blood. It's who shows up when the machines are beeping and you haven't slept in 3 days. It's who sits beside you quietly when there's nothing to say. It's who doesn't have to be asked. And who never ever asks for anything in return.